Welcome to the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, the best fantasy football podcast on the internet. If you're on YouTube, you could read that right above my little head. If not, you're on audio. But listen, doesn't matter. Season 3, episode 41. We're doing some defensive targets later on in the episode, but we're going to start out talking about some recent headlines that have happened. A lot of stuff's happened. Obviously, we got Fournette, a couple different injuries, things like that. We'll get into that. But before we do, I just want to let you know that we have a little table of contents in the description. So if you want, depending on whatever you want to hear throughout the episode, you can go through very quickly via the table of contents. There's little timestamps. It just definitely helps you out when doing your research. If you don't have that much time, I understand everybody's got to work, everybody's got to do stuff like that. So I totally get where you're coming from when you don't have time for an entire episode. I get it. So you got to get your fantasy research in somehow. That's a great tool to use. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to get to 200 by the end of before the season starts. We're pretty close. So if you want to do that, that would help us big time. Leave us a rate and review on the Apple Podcast app. That also helps us big time. So go ahead and do all that good stuff. It would be much appreciated. Did I forget anything? I don't think so. I don't think so. But yeah, let's get into it, baby. You
hit double sleep.
You hit the bust. You hit the bust one, baby.
Yeah. Try it again.
But we'll start off with the obvious. We got Leonard Fournette. I put a little here. Let's see here. We got 4 not on a team.
Leonard 4 not on a team.
Yeah. So if you're Leonard, if you just drafted, if you're like me and you just drafted, and you no longer have Fournette on a football team, you're probably pretty upset. I'm pretty upset. It was probably the first thing I woke up to this morning. I literally drafted last night. We're recording this on Monday, and then this morning, 7 a.m., get a message. Oh, hey, your number 2 running back is he's not on a team anymore. So yeah, pretty upsetting. I think he still will get signed somewhere. Like, what are your initial thoughts when you first saw the signing?
I mean, like you said, I woke up a little early. I always, I think like everyone else does, you reach for your phone, and I'm always seeing what kind of fantasy news comes out, right as I wake up. And I saw they released him. I thought it was kind of weird because, I mean, we are only 10 days away from the start of the season. So it's a little weird that they were going to release him now. Why wouldn't you just do it from the jump, go out and draft a running back potentially and, boost your offense. So it's kind of weird that they waited last second to do it. But obviously there's some bad blood going on there with Fournette and the Jaguars. I think they were trying to trade him. Doug Marrone came out and kind of, throwing shade. He was like, yeah, we tried to get anything for him, 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, but no one wanted to give us anything. So we let him go. So it is a little interesting that nobody was willing to pull the trigger on him and make a trade for him. I'm not sure if it's because he's due $4.1 million this year. So I'm not sure if now that he's, obviously he's going to go through the waiver period, all 32 teams, all 31 teams, I guess, because the Jaguars are out. But the 31 teams will have a chance to grab him off of the waiver. If not, if he clears waivers, then he will become a free agent. I'm not sure if once he becomes a free agent or if he becomes a free agent, if he was to sign somewhere, if it's okay, it's just a 1-year, $1 million deal. Instead of if they traded for him, his contract would still be, carried over to that 1 year left, $4.1 million left. So I wonder if that was a reason why no one pulled the trigger and made a trade for him.
So yeah, I mean, we went back and looked at some of the. There was a lot of people who weren't big on Fournette, and I was kind of just because he was dropping so far. I mean, the dude gets when he's healthy, he gets 300 plus carries, and it's that's what you look for when you draft a running back. So he might not be the most efficient, but he can handle a huge workload like that. And that being said, I his yards per touch went up from 3.8 to 3.9 to this past season was at 4.3. So I don't know. I was looking up on it. The thing is last year there was a lot of trade rumors and all this stuff. So there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, why would you draft him? There's all these trade rumors. Oh, they don't want him there." I'm like, well, last year the exact same thing happened. They were saying the exact same thing, and he still played the whole year, and he was like a decent RB2, you know. So, but yeah, obviously, if you're like me in this pickle, there's two guys that you could look at, and the first one would be Chris Thompson. But I guess we could speak on where we think he'll go.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I can say with Fournette here, like you said, I mean, kind of, a volume-based guy, over 300 total touches. He had a career year in receptions, 76. He had 100 targets, only one of 4 running backs to get 100 or more targets. Obviously, that was due to come down with the addition of Chris Thompson. He's one of Jay Gruden's guys who's the new offensive coordinator for the Jaguars. So we were expecting that number to dip down in the receiving terms. But like you said, you were expecting a guy to see another 250 carries, some goal line work. I mean, only, 3 touchdowns, I think it was, last year on the ground, which is kind of, a crazy, just, bad luck. It's kind of, it's hard to predict touchdowns sometimes, But, you were thinking if he was going to get another 250 carries, he could have easily gotten you 7-8 touchdowns, as a floor. He definitely was going to go up from the 3. But I was just looking at something. I saw this. It was on a Pro Football Focus Twitter. It's his Leonard Fournette's grades over the last 3 years. And I was a little surprised when I saw this. So his rookie year, he was graded as the 51st graded running back. 2018, the 33rd graded running back. And last year, thinking he had a good year. But he was the 46th graded running back per Pro Football Focus. So maybe that's what the Jaguars saw. We're obviously looking at numbers for fantasy. Like, hey, the guy got a ton of carries, ton of catches. He, like I said, he was a serviceable RB2 for me throughout the year. But in terms of being like an actual football player, he's in a contract here. He obviously wants to get paid. These grades right here on Pro Football Focus are saying that he's not
it doesn't help his
good
case to get put on another team. And I'm sure that the other players or the other coaches and teams were looking at that, like things like that, where he was graded at and all that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but with that being said, I'm not sure if he'll get picked up in the waiver wire. Obviously, we'll know by this time tomorrow whether someone swooped him up or if he becomes a free agent and then he's free to kind of go sign wherever he wants. So I'm interested to see if there is a team that's willing to put in a claim and grab him, or if he's just going to go through the waivers and then he'll be able to test free agency. But what's the we were kind of talking off air, where do we think he could go? Because he's going to get picked up somewhere, whether it's through the waivers or whether he gets signed in free agency.
He's too young.
He's too young.
Is this his 4th year?
Yeah, he's going into his 4th year. Even though he looks
like he's 40. Yeah, but yeah, he's not that old, and so. I mean, yeah, for sure. It's not like a Devontae Freeman type issue. So I think my top 2 spots that I think he could go, because David Montgomery, who we'll actually speak on in a second, but I would say because David Montgomery is injured, maybe the Bears, and then I would say the Eagles need a little bit of running back depth. So I could see either of those 2 teams. Those are my top 2 predictions of places he could go.
So as a David Montgomery, a truther or a David Montgomery fan, I would hate for him to go to the Bears just because I felt like, David Montgomery is one of those guys where he was in line for another 250-plus carries. Not highly efficient as a rookie, but I think in year 2, I think he could only get better. Obviously, he hurts the groin. He's out for a couple weeks. They're saying he should be back by week 1, week 2 at the latest. But, do they just go out and get Fournette as depth? I would just hate to see him go there because now it's like you would have a trio of running backs, Fournette, Montgomery, and Cohen. Is obviously going to be utilized too out of the passing game.
Yeah.
The Eagles one kind of makes sense. He kind of replaces that Jordan Howard role because they have Miles Sanders. We're all kind of hyped on Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
This year, no Jordan Howard, but they still have Boston Scott, but he's kind of like a Miles Sanders kind of guy right there. They don't have like a thumper,
like a bruiser,
a bruiser. They don't have like that. I guess you could call him like a Jordan Howard type of running back. So
right.
The Eagles kind of make sense to me, especially when we've seen what he likes to do. Doug Peterson, what is his name? Captain McVisor.
Turbo McVisor.
Turbo McVisor. Yeah, Doug Peterson. We see what he likes to do over the course of his career as being the head coach for the Eagles. He likes to have a little running back by committee, a little 1-2 punch here.
Yeah.
So I could for sure see him going to the Eagles. I think the Chargers would be a nice little spot. So he's been saying that he wants to go to L.A. I don't know. Seen some reports like him and Jalen Ramsey are like best friends. So he's trying to get to L.A. I'm not necessarily sure it'll be with the Rams. I mean, they go out and they spend a 2nd-round pick on Cam Akers. You still have Darrell Henderson, who's coming into his second year. Still have some good depth in Malcolm Brown and John Kelly as well. So I can't imagine them making a splash and just going to get Fournette and just kind of pushing all those guys aside for a guy who nobody even wanted to trade a seventh-round pick for to get. I mean, even the Jets were willing to trade a seventh-round pick to get Kalen Ballage. Nobody was willing to trade.
Yeah, that's what like
Fournette.
I don't. Because we were talking about, it's like it seems like Doug Marrone and the coaching staff just had a beef with him because that report doesn't seem right to me. Like I think that it's almost like they just want to make him look shittier on paper to these other fantasy or to these other football teams, so that way they don't sign him. So like I don't think that the people like they were offering 7th round picks and then some and still couldn't get rid of him. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but
yeah. So yeah, he was like saying he wants to go to LA. I doubt the Rams are a possibility, but luckily for him, there's 2 teams in LA. You got the Chargers there. No longer have Melvin Gordon. He's in Denver. It should be a big year for Eckler, but outside of Eckler, I mean, you have
it's hard because they have that
Justin Jackson, but he's already banged up in training camp. They go out and draft Joshua Kelly out of UCLA,
and then they have that Darius Bradwell, who we keep seeing on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, so I think the Chargers would be a good combo right there because Eckler, to me, obviously we saw what he could do. In the first couple of weeks, Melvin Gordon, super talented. Even when Gordon was there, he was still super talented. But I'm not sure if Eckler can go the whole season. He's not the biggest back. He's a little short, stocky guy, but I'm not sure if he can go a whole season getting, a full workhorse like workload like that. So having a bruiser like Fournette with them, Eckler and Fournette, I think would be a little 1-2 combo. So I could see the Chargers as a potential landing spot. It'll be interesting to see right there. I mean, we literally went through the list of all the teams. We're like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I Anthony Lynn was running back. That he's pretty picky about his running backs.
Yeah.
So, but I could, I mean, I could. You're painting the picture right for me because I could definitely see it happen there. So there's rumors too, Miami. And
I don't think Miami. We have Jordan Howard on a 2-year deal. I actually think
Bay,
Jordan
maybe.
Howard's kind of, the more we do research, I think Jordan Howard's kind of being slept on. I think he's going to be a decent running back, going to get a ton of carries, goal line work. And we have Breida, and then we have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks next year. So we're probably drafting a running back next year for like the future going forward. But let me ask you this. Obviously, you draft Fournette in the 3rd round last night. You're expecting him to get this massive workload.
Let's clarify. It was in the tail end of the 3rd round. So it's basically the 4th round.
Okay, basically okay. But
I'm just saying because I don't want someone to think I took Leonard Fournette 302.
Fair enough. Yeah. So you're taking him on the turn right there. You had the 12th pick, so you know right there. So it's basically start of the 4th round, like you said.
Yeah.
So you're getting Fournette right there. Obviously, you think he's going to get this massive workload. In hindsight, now he's not on a team. Are you even taking a shot on him? Because he is going to get signed. He is going to get picked up by somebody. You just don't know where or what.
In the future,
are you willing to even take a shot on him out? Like, say if you were to draft tonight, would and you get to a certain round, or is there a certain round where you're like, okay, Fournette's there, he's going to get signed by somebody. Let me grab him now.
I would take him way later. I would probably take him maybe like 7th round at the lowest.
Yeah.
To be honest, just because you don't know what the hell's going to happen. I mean, dude, look, Carlos Hyde last year this time went to the Texans. Is that right? And then he had a pretty decent year, and that was like right before the season started. Yeah. So like it's not out of the realm of possibility of it happening, but there's a lot of other examples of that not working out. And so, He is young. He's a good running back. He's like an okay running back actually, but he can handle the workload. So, yeah, I'd probably say 7th round, man. I don't know if I could go higher than that or like earlier than that.
Yeah, I might go later actually than 7th round. Depending on the depth of who's still there. I mean, maybe when we get into the terms of like Kerryon Johnson, some of those guys, Adrian Peterson. I guess you're getting these later guys. I'm thinking like 8th round, maybe a give or take. So yeah, like he's not going in those top couple rounds like he was.
Yeah, like 7th is like the earliest.
That's for sure.
For sure, the earliest.
Obviously, once we find out more tomorrow, where he lands, then we'll be able to really assess on what his draft value is. But honestly, for right now, if I was to draft tonight, I just wouldn't even draft him.
No, I would stay away.
He's just on my I don't want the headache of like does he go here, does he go there, and then. So, yeah, I would just want 0 Fournette. I did a draft the other day, just kind of it was a small little $30 draft. online, and
you were just feeling. You just didn't have a draft yet, and you wanted.
Yeah, I was itching, and I was like, all right, I got some couple drafts coming up. I just kind of wanted to gauge it and see where people were actually picking people. Sometimes the mocks are a little different, but
yeah.
I got auto picked Fournette in the 3rd round, and I was pretty upset about it. But then, we were talking about, we're like, oh, at least he's gonna get 250 carries, blah blah blah. But now I'm like, God damn it.
Here's the thing: is when Chris Thompson, like, yes, Jay Gruden and Chris Thompson have a history. They've he's played for him before, but what's it called? Chris Thompson can't stay healthy. So it's like when I was looking at Fournette, they're like, oh, Chris Thompson's in there. I'm like, listen, Chris Thompson's a different type of running back. He's a receiving back, and I can't imagine him staying healthy the entire year. So I wasn't afraid of it. Like, all it did was lower Fournette's value. But, yeah, like we said, now I'm out, dude. I'm out on Fournette for sure.
Well, we'll have to see where he lands. And obviously it's going to – if he goes to a place like Philly, that's obviously going to decrease Miles Sanders' value because he's going to get utilized. If he goes to the Bears, that's obviously going to impact Montgomery. If he goes to the Bears, I'm not touching either one of those guys.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to deal with that headache of who's going to get the bulk of the carries almost in a sense. So, yeah, just depending where he goes, that'll obviously dictate his value.
It's like
forward.
I have him now. Would you be like, say you have Fournette, like, would you trade him to somebody right now?
What are you going to get, though, that you're feeling like –
But, like, this is what I'm thinking is where is Fournette going to go right now where he can be – like, even the teams we're talking about, like, I don't think he's going to have that same workload that he's going to get in Jacksonville.
No.
So I think that because it's unknown, it's almost a better idea to trade him right now because I know his value is less, but, like, you might get – you still have that unknown factor before he gets to a team and is behind somebody.
He still has to learn a whole new playbook, all new like, verbiage of the plays, the audible. Like, he has got to learn everything.
Like, everything with all the stars have to – exactly. All the stars have to align for him to be even close to the same value as he was before.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I'm saying is that, if you package trade Leonard Fournette and, like, maybe like an upside receiver that somebody in your league really likes, I'm not opposed to that. You know what I mean? And then just kind of sell him on the upside. Dude, he's about to go to the Bears. I
mean, if you could swap him for something decent, obviously I wouldn't be selling him for nothing because you don't know where he is yet. But I mean,
throw him with the upside receiver. Like, say you drafted 2 tight ends and you got one early, but you have faith in your upside tight end towards the end. You know what I mean? Maybe package that together and get I don't know, get a topper like a David Johnson or I don't even know.
Let's just say this. So he's on my team in one of my leagues because I got auto drafted and they picked him for me. But in real drafts, he would not be on my team.
Yeah. So it's just that's our advice, I guess, is just stay away from Fournette in future drafts. Maybe try and package trade him if you can right now. Besides that, so. But I guess we can move on to Chris Thompson, who I think is like if you're going to draft any Jacksonville running back, I would do that.
Yeah, so we touched on these running backs. You got, obviously you got Chris Thompson, who's, familiar with Jay Gruden, played with him in Washington. Shifty little scat back, can catch the ball really well.
PPR, great for PPR.
Yeah, and then you got Ryquell Armstead. We'll touch on him. And then you have another guy, Devin Ozigbo or something like that. I'm probably mispronouncing the name, but you have a trio of running backs now on the team. If there's one that I would want Chris Thompson. We were doing a draft last night, like Mike said. I got there kind of late. Mad. I was drafting over the phone. Thank you, Mike. Shout out to Mike. He actually helped me draft my team. I couldn't have done it without you. But in the last round, I took a shot on Chris Thompson. He didn't have a sticker, so I had to write his name in. I was just like, okay, but now it's like I wake up in the morning. I took a 16th round pick on Chris Thompson, and now that looks like my stock is up. So we
live together, and so I woke up pissed off, and you woke up excited.
I woke up pretty excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
But yeah, so Chris Thompson, I think for me personally right now, I think Chris Thompson's the back you want. If he's on the waiver wire, like I said, I got him in the 16th round, so he almost went undrafted. Here's a guy, when we did the division breakdowns, though, that we were talking about, like, you should go get this guy because he's going to have a role. He's going to be the pass-catching back, even with Fournette there, expecting to see a heavy workload. We were saying go get this guy. But, there's going to be a lot of leagues where he's undrafted. I would go get this guy, and here's why. Because now you have Ryquell Armstead, you have the Ozigbo guy, and you have Thompson, little trio of running backs right here. But the thing is, too, this is no longer the Jacksonville Jaguars of 2017. I saw a stat. They actually traded away Yannick Ngakoue. I'm probably butchering that name as well.
Yeah.
But I saw something saying that in 2017, when it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, they had 6 Pro Bowlers. They now have 0 players of those 6 Pro Bowlers on the team now.
Yeah.
So this is going to be one of the worst teams in defense in the NFL.
They're talking about them trying to get Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the worst teams, though. So they're going to be playing catch up a lot. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're like, hey, we can't afford to run the ball 250 times with Fournette. We are going to be behind in a lot of games. So I think you're going to see a lot of Chris Thompson coming out of the backfield. And for when he's healthy, he's always up there in terms of targets and receptions for running backs. I mean, he's like a James White, like he just, for whatever reason, can't seem to stay healthy. Maybe we'll see it's a new change of scenery. Maybe the weather in Jacksonville, maybe the humidity, it will keep him loose and limber for whatever reason. But I mean, the guy is a talented little pass catcher out of the backfield, quick and shifty. He's a mismatch nightmare for these linebackers if they try to guard him out of the backfield. Yeah. So I mean, you could see him. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to see him. If he plays a full 16 games, like he could get you 60 receptions easily.
Yeah, I was about to even say more, but yeah, for sure.
So he'd be the guy I'd be trying to get on the waiver wire. So because I'm not sure about these other guys.
So we can move on to the next guy then. I go for Chris Thompson. I would say at first my gut instinct was to go for, I was like, okay, who's the other running back besides Chris Thompson? Okay, Ryquell Armstead. Should we do it? After doing research, I'm not sold that Ryquell Armstead's going to be of any help to your fantasy team. I think there's slim possibility, but I'm staying away. Look at this. I try and pull. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm trying to pull up these highlights for all these players while we go, and you can't even find. There's no. He doesn't play enough to have NFL highlights.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no,
that doesn't show that he's not a proven person. I just can't. I'm not going to put my faith in my first waiver wire pick for a guy that I don't even know if he's going to make it.
I think you can see a running back by committee between him and the Ozigbo guy. Like you said, I'm not really sold on Armstead either. If there was one of the 3 I'm gonna go get, it's Chris Thompson. Even in standard leagues, I think I'm going to get Chris Thompson just because he'll offer me a safe floor of 50 receiving yards every single week, and then he's probably going to get a couple carries here and there as well. But yeah, the Armstead guy, I personally, I mean, if you have a roster spot to burn, like say, there's just nobody, you just drafting random people down the stretch, and you want to add some running back depth, 100% go get this guy because, for right now, he's penciled in as the starter. And if you can find a starting running back on the waiver wire, you should for sure go get him. How productive is he going to be? That is yet to be seen. We have yet to know if this is going to be a running back by committee with him and Ozigbo. And
nobody's saying that. Like, how do you know that the Jaguars don't sign Devontae Freeman like this week?
Yeah, that's another
thing.
I
mean.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be a free agent. He's a free agent, Devontae Freeman. So one thing I was reading something else saying that they're saying why they think Devontae Freeman wouldn't go there is they were saying that the Jaguars didn't even want to pay Fournette $4 million. So what makes you think that they would go out and pay Devontae Freeman $4 or $5 million? Because remember he was going to get a contract for like $4 million or something like that.
Well,
but he turned it down.
I think he's kind of come to the terms like, okay, I'm down to settle for a little bit less. I think that happens a lot with these running backs when they do these holdouts or don't sign for a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think if you were to bring Devontae Freeman in, he would be better than Armstead and Ozigbo. Obviously, Chris Thompson would probably still have a role, but Devontae Freeman is a very capable pass-catching running back. So that would be interesting to see. I mean, you never know. That is for sure in the realm of possibility. I think you could see something like that happen where they go out and sign somebody. But for right now, it's the Ryquell Armstead show. You got Ozigbo. I think you got another running back named James Robinson. I wouldn't be surprised to see him emerge. At any given moment, it could just be who's the hot hand, who's the player that kind of comes out, and really takes over the role. Because I think they're kind of auditioning right now to see who's going to be the lead back in this offense outside of Chris Thompson, obviously.
Here's the thing is we know, but it's out of all those guys, we have the most knowledge and the most thing about Chris Thompson. We have like the most prior education about the way he used to play. That's a terrible sentence, but but you know what I mean. So that's why
we've seen Chris Thompson get it done.
Yeah,
with Jay Gruden, who is now the coordinator for the Jaguars. So it just the the puzzle pieces are connecting, or the stars are aligning kind of for him to be the guy in this backfield that you want.
Thompson or bust. That's what I'm saying right now.
I'm just thinking too, can't see a scenario where, obviously you're drafting Fournette. Maybe he wasn't hyper efficient, but you're drafting him because he was going to get 250 plus touches.
Yeah.
These running backs,
he's guaranteed
to me,
15 carries a game.
These running backs to me are not going to see 250 touches.
No.
This could literally be like 150 touches here, 100 touches here, 80 touches here. I mean, I think they're going to be throwing a ton. So I think they're going to be pass happy with Minshew. Because like I said, they're going to be behind in a lot of games. So that's obviously limits the rushing upside. So I don't like it either. I'm kind of on your side, Mike. When you said there's nothing I really seen from Armstead. If you can go get him, I don't want to say don't go get him, but I don't see anything where are you gonna feel confident going to get him off the waiver wire and throwing him into your starting lineup? Are you throwing him in as an RB2? Are you throwing him in as a flex? What are you throwing him in?
Okay, check it out. This is the other thing I forgot to bring up, but the Jaguars play the Colts week 1, so you're gonna get a guy who has very little experience as a starting running back. They're playing the Colts, who I wrote it down. The Colts have last year, I think. I wrote it down somewhere, but I think they were the fifth last year. They were the 5th best rushing defense in the league.
They have this guy named Darius Leonard. He's pretty good.
Yeah, so the Colts, their defense is going to be insane this year, which is actually who we'll end up talking about a little bit later. So you're gonna get a guy on waiver, waste your waiver priority, and he has little experience. He's gonna go up against one of the better rushing defenses in the league. Yeah, I'm good. That was once I did a little bit of research. That's when I was out on Armstead. And I could imagine after that week 1, him doing nothing and he'll get dropped, and you could just pick him up as an add-on, not even a waiver wire.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they divvy up the carries week 1 and week 2, week 3. Like I said, if they don't sign anyone and they keep this, this running back room that they already have. But like I said, I mean, I don't think the ceiling is very high for him. But if you want some depth, if you just want some depth at the running back position, I feel like you can never have enough running backs, to be honest. So right now he is a starting running back on an NFL team. And if you want some depth at the position, sure, go out and get him. But if there was one of these Jaguar running backs to go get, I think we both agree it's Chris Thompson.
Yeah. All right, let's we can move on. Enough for not on a team Fournette talk. We can move on to David Mont groin injury. We were trying to come up with titles earlier, and this one made us laugh. But so David Montgomery, he slipped at practice and hurt his groin. This was we're actually a little bit late on this news, but you probably already know about this. But it says he's doubtful for week 1 as of right now. I guess we're just going to speak on it,
Yeah, so Montgomery, like I said,
what his value is, yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite guys coming in, to year 2. One of my favorite rookies, obviously didn't, hit his rookie year, but got a ton of carries. For the first couple weeks actually last year, Mike Davis was getting a lot of run. They finally get rid of him. Then it was kind of like, the David Montgomery show. So I felt like in year 2 they were really going to give him the massive workload.
He was going to see starts, that it will help. I mean, Mitch Trubisky couldn't even hand off the ball correctly too.
Yeah, we were going to see a massive workload from Montgomery, and I think even if he wasn't hyper efficient, you were still kind of like how Fournette was. He was going to be at least a really good RB2 for you because he was going to get you 300 total touches, and to find running backs that get you 300 total touches is pretty hard to come by. But he had an ADP in the fifth round, like Mike said. He slips in practice, pulls his groin. He doesn't need surgery. I mean, how comfortable do you feel drafting Montgomery now? Are you still willing to take that 5th round draft pick? We just did a draft last night, like you said, and he still went in the 5th round pretty early in the 5th round.
Yeah, I think that person actually didn't know about the injury, but if he goes in the 7th round, I'm gonna have to take him.
Yeah.
I will say maybe I'll jump on him on the 6th. In the 5th round, it's a little bit early just because I don't know how. These groin injuries are tricky. But, I mean, if he's in the 7th round, dude, I can't miss that value. Especially, say they don't sign Leonard Fournette or anybody. Yeah, I got to take him in the 7th round.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, I'd rather him sit out until he's 100% healthy. Luckily, this is kind of right before the season started and not mid-season where he's missing 4 games. I'd rather him sit out 4 weeks, even if he misses 2-3 games and then, okay, now he's 100% healthy and he's good to go down the stretch. Obviously, I think his value is going to slip a little bit because he's not, going to give you a full 16 games. They're saying he's doubtful for week 1. He'll probably be questionable for week 2. And then week 3 is probably a realistic timeline for he's for sure going to play. But, I mean, they didn't go out and get anybody in free agency. They didn't go out and get anybody in the draft that's of any importance, at least, to my knowledge. So it's literally just Montgomery and Tariq Cohen. So as soon as he comes back and he's healthy, as long as they don't go out and get Fournette, like we were just saying, I think he's still going to get a ton of carries. He's going to be a guy who's going to see a ton of goal line work, ton of carries. And, if I can get that, like you said, in the 7th round, I'll reach in the 6th round, depending on where I'm at, depending on my roster construction.
Say like you're at 6.
I'll still go for him in the 6th round. Like we did a draft last night, like Mike said. I went Clyde Edwards-Helaire with my first pick, and then I didn't touch a running back for a while. But I was telling myself, if I get to David Montgomery in the 6th round, I'm pulling the trigger because I'll take him as my RB2, and just for that upside of the amount of volume that he should get on a week-to-week basis.
His ceiling is just out of any running back. If say they fall that low, his ceiling's insane.
Yeah.
When we talk about a lot of these ADPs, by the way, we're like we do usually like 12-team, like half-point PPR format. So adjust that a little bit, I guess, for say you're in like a standard 10-team league.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm still, but what I'm trying to say is I'm still willing to take a shot on him. Like I said, his ADP was in the 5th round. But if it gets to the 6th, 7th round for sure, I think I just have to pull the trigger on the upside for what running backs are available in the 7th round. His upside, for the amount of work he's going to get, I think it's worth it when he gets to those rounds.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. You want to move on to the next guy?
We can.
In today's headlines, we'll move on to Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara has missed 3 practices. That you said that's the limit, unexcused absences.
I'm not sure what the limit is.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that earlier. But yeah. So Alvin Kamara's missed 3 practices. It's got a lot of people worried. Does this adjust your value of Alvin Kamara? Are you pushing him down? I think you took Clyde Edwards over Alvin Kamara, or you were right after that.
No, Kamara went 4. I took Clyde Edwards at 5. But if it would have came between Kamara and Clyde Edwards, I would have taken Clyde Edwards just because I don't want to have this kind of scenario where, does he hold out? And then also, Latavius Murray is going to snake some goal line carries, some goal line touchdowns from Kamara, where I think Clyde Edwards it's the CE8 show over there in that high-powered Chiefs offense.
Bro, what about Darwin Thompson?
The clown slurs guy? But yeah, no, Kamara misses practice. I think, he wants to get paid. I mean, he's only scheduled to make $2.1 million this year, which is nothing compared to what the guy's done. I mean, 81 receptions, 3 straight years in a row. I don't even know what the odds of that statistically being. 3 straight years, 81 receptions. That's pretty wild to think about it.
Yeah.
So you would think he's in line to get another 81 receptions. It's kind of just what the numbers are telling you. So yeah, the guy wants to get paid. He's coming into the final year of his rookie contract. I mean, he was, not one of these first-round draft picks like Fournette. I mean, Fournette's going to end up making $20+ million, after those first 3 years. Kamara, I think, has only made $3 million over those 3 years, which is crazy in terms of how much better Kamara is.
Yeah, how much more
than Fournette.
How much more value?
I think the Saints end up getting this done.
Yeah,
they're not one of those teams I think that bullshit around or beat around the bush. I think they know this offense runs through Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. The cap space is a little issue with them. They don't have a ton of cap space, so they're probably going to have to move some numbers around, restructure some contracts.
I don't understand how they don't have cap space. They only are paying Jameis Winston $1 million.
Yeah.
Like they're not paying. I mean, I guess Drew Brees, but Yeah.
But I think this gets handled before the season starts. I mean, if you're like, let's say if we get to like a couple days before the season and it's not handled, then I'm for sure getting a little nervous. I mean, they have Latavius Murray, when he was there and Kamara was out, he was getting 20+ carries. He was an RB1. So for whatever reason, they could be like, hey, we have Murray. He's a good running back. He handled the workload well when Kamara was hurt last year, so we don't have to rush the gun or pull the trigger right away. But I think, they know, hey, we're on a kind of a time-sensitive issue on trying to win a Super Bowl. This could be Drew Brees last year potentially. Why would you want to bullshit and not have one of your best playmakers on the field for the full season? Why would you want him to be out and potentially lose a couple games just because you weren't willing to pay the man the money he deserved? But where would you be willing to draft Kamara? I think I would still draft him, like at least in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change it that much for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like it's the type of holdout or whatnot that you're used to seeing. So it doesn't adjust it more. Instead of, I'm not looking at Kamara, I'm looking at Latavius Murray.
Yeah.
Possibly trying to just grab him in like later rounds as a potential upside maybe. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm still happy if I'm at the 5th spot and some Kamara's there. I'm down to I'll take him there. It doesn't affect it too much for me.
For sure. I mean, you got to think he's just looking out for himself. I mean, you see guys like Montgomery getting hurt. If you got all these players that get hurt.
He's only getting paid $3 million, dude. Give him a break.
Yeah. So I mean, he doesn't want to get hurt. It's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a deal gets done before the season.
Deal or no deal. All right, we can move on to the next guy then.
Let's do it.
We got Deebo Samuel. He's looking all better now. He's seen jogging on the sidelines, or he's in practice. He's running around.
Yeah, he was cleared to run. So this is one of those times where you say, like, I'm checking my phone. Download Sleeper Bot if you don't have it. It's really good. It'll send you like alerts right away. Kind of get this alien noise, like, zzz. But
it's
got an alert
time.
from Sleeper Bot. Says Deebo Samuel's cleared to run. And he should be good to go for week 1. I think week 2 at the latest is when he would there. And this, the 49ers, they just keep losing receivers left and right. Jalen Hurd, I think, tore his ACL. They went and signed a couple veterans, J.J. Nelson and Tavon Austin. J.J. Nelson is already hurt. Brandon Ayuk, the rookie from Arizona State, he's hurt. Deebo Samuel's obviously banged up as well. So all these receivers are pretty banged up. So I think as soon as Deebo Samuel can get on the field, he is the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver outside of George Kittle, who I think is the actual number 1 wide receiver on the team. But, Deebo Samuel is the receiver on this team that you want. But the reason we're talking about it is because I feel like, he was going in like the 5th round, I would say, give or take, 5th, 6th round before he got hurt. We're doing all these mock drafts.
Yeah, forever
Gets hurt. He starts to fall to like the 8th, 9th round because he's hurt. But I don't see why. I'm still willing to take a shot on him in these early rounds because he should be good to go by week 1, week 2, from what everyone's saying. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see why he's falling down there. If he gets to like the 6th, 7th round, I'm pulling the trigger on Deebo Samuel. If he's one of your guys, I wouldn't be worried about the foot because they said he's cleared to run. He should be good to go for these early games.
You're basically getting a guy that's going to be a number 1. That's kind of what I look at for receivers. Like, this guy's going to be the clear number 1. I want him on my team. Yeah. And you're getting a clear number 1 in a very late round. So
I mean, Deebo Samuel, just some numbers on him, but he was tied with Deontay Johnson for most forced missed tackles among wide receivers. I think he led receivers in rushes and rushing yards as well. So he gets utilized on all these jet sweeps, end arounds, and stuff like that. Super talented player.
Or how Dre would say, missed tackles forced.
Missed tackles forced, yeah.
He reads it out. I'm like, dude, it's just forced missed tackles. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, dude, hammer it. Hammer Deebo Samuel in your lineup. I'm with it if you're doing your drafts.
If he falls, like I said, if he falls, dude, don't be afraid to pull the trigger on Deebo because he should be good to go.
Yeah, kill him. All right, let's move on to next guy here. We got Jalen Reagor, also known as Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor, he hurt his shoulder. There was a lot of people that were kind of excited for him on the Philadelphia Eagles, but obviously this puts a damper on things. How do you feel?
Did you hear how he got hurt?
No.
Okay, so the Eagles, their whole team has just kind of been getting hurt. I already lose two offensive linemen.
I did, but for podcast purposes, go ahead.
Yeah, they already lose 2 offensive linemen. Alshon's still on the PUP list, with the foot. Who else they got? Carson Wentz he's day-to-day or something. I don't know. He's got something going on. Carson Wentz is already dealing with an injury, so he wasn't at practice. So they had the rookie Jalen Hurts in there throwing the football around in practice, throws an interception. Reagor now rushes to go make a tackle on the defender after the interception, and then he tore his shoulder muscle. I think he tore his labrum or partially tore his labrum. So he got hurt trying to make a tackle on an interception by the backup quarterback because the starting quarterback, Carson Wentz, was hurt and not practicing. I mean, if that is just not I don't know, what do they call it? Like a butterfly effect?
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that Benjamin Button scene where he's like, if only she didn't stop to tie her shoe, and then he wouldn't have crossed the street. If he didn't grab that cup of coffee, if Carson Wentz wasn't hurt.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but they're saying he should be out 3 to 4 weeks. So I mean, like I said, kickoff is 10 days away. I mean, you're telling me 3 to 4 weeks he's out. That's what, week 3 he come back at the earliest, week 4. I think one thing why I want to bring this up right here is I think people are just sleeping on Deshaun Jackson. Another guy that I got pretty late in the draft last night with all of our friends. I got him like in the 15th round. I think I'm just bragging over here. Chris Thompson late, Deshaun Jackson late, dude.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, it's one of those things where like by you paying attention, you're getting these gems like in these late rounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, the Chris Thompson one was a little bit, you had lady luck on your side. But, being able to grab Deshaun Jackson that late is pretty insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anything, I wasn't sold on Reagor when we did the rookie breakdowns. I think the guy's, he's electric. He does play bigger than what he is because he's not the biggest guy. But I just didn't see anything that blew me away off the field. Oh my God, this guy's, a superstar.
That looked pretty good. But yeah, go ahead.
But so, like I said, he's hurt. He's probably not going to be back till like week 3, but then he's going to be playing with a torn shoulder muscle the whole season. So could that get banged up and get worse as the season goes? Like he lands on it, takes a couple hits. Could it get worse? I mean, that's a potential. Maybe that's something we could ask Dr. Cucci about on a further episode. But the receivers you got over there, Alshon's on the pup list still. You have Deshaun Jackson. You have JJ Arcega-Whitehead, who was a bum last year. I can't imagine him just getting good out of nowhere. And then you have Greg Ward, who should man the slot again, who actually kind of turned on a little bit towards the second half of the year. They had nobody, so they had to get Greg Ward from the AFL. But yeah, he's going to play the slot. And then you have the other rookie, John Hightower, who I know if Andre was here, he probably would agree with me on this. But I think John Hightower is the rookie that's going to be the best rookie wide receiver out of this draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, John Hightower, he's 6'2", 190, so kind of a tall, lanky guy. But he ran a 4.43 40, and it just kind of surprises me because you look at Reagor as like this guy who's fast, and I'm not saying he's not fast. I mean, he ran a 4.47, so that's fast.
That's fast.
But this guy over here, John Hightower, faster, 4.43 speed.
He fast.
They get him in the 5th round out of Boise State. He kind of reminds me of like what Alshon Jeffrey is. Like I think he's going to take over what Alshon Jeffrey is. Alshon Jeffrey just can't seem to stay healthy for whatever it is. But yeah, I think John Hightower, clip this shit right now. I'm calling it right now. I think John Hightower could be this year's Terry McLaurin, where he's a guy who that nobody knows about, but he kind of comes out and he just like out of nowhere just hits the floor running.
I love it.
Big
prediction. Big claim right
bold
there.
Prediction, yeah. But so yeah, with that being said, are you taking any shots on Reagor? I already wasn't drafting him because I didn't think he was that great.
Before that, I didn't mind maybe like a last super late round flyer, especially in PPR leagues maybe. But yeah, especially now with this injury, I mean shoulders are tricky. As we've spoke with our residential Dr. Cucci, he's you explain, it's like, imagine, what did he say? Imagine a golf ball on a tee. It's just like your shoulder, that those shoulder injuries are gnarly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm all out. We say we're all in on some players. I'm all out on Jalen Reagor.
Yeah. I think what it is Deshaun Jackson needs to be drafted, and he needs to be drafted way higher than the 15th round. I mean,
that was like a lucky.
Yeah, I think he definitely needs to be drafted right away. I mean, I drafted him in the 15th round, and we're in a double flex league here, but he's gonna be my double flex. He's gonna be my second flex week 1 of the season, because who do the Eagles have to throw the ball to outside of Ertz? I think this kind of boosts Goddard's value back up again, because you'll probably see him out there a ton, and with the lack of proven pass catchers out here, it's gonna be hard, to not see Ertz and Goddard actually be like, kind of the go-to guys. We've seen Ertz really hone in on them.
By the way, John Hightower, if you grab John Hightower in the last round or something like that.
Yeah.
They play the Redskins or the Washington football team week 1, so I like that matchup.
Could be good, yeah. But draft Deshaun Jackson. I don't know why in the one game that he was healthy last year, He had 2 touchdowns and like 150 yards or something stupid like that on like 3 catches. So, I mean, Deshaun Jackson, still fast, still a savvy veteran, knows how to stretch the field, and Carson Wentz can get him the ball deep. So, would you be surprised that if week 1 Deshaun Jackson came out and had like a 70-yard bomb? Like you wouldn't, right? So,
but that's what I'm saying about
draft Deshaun Jackson.
That's what I was saying. I forgot to finish, but the Hightower thing is like the best is to trade after week 1. Yeah. Because I mean, lots of people look at the Marquise Brown put up 3 touchdowns week 1. Was it 3 touchdowns?
Play the Dolphins.
Yeah, and the Ravens have their number. But you know what I mean. John Hightower puts up all this yardage against them. Trade him, grab a better receiver. Fucking money, dude.
Money, baby.
I'm ready for week 1. All right.
Draft Deshaun though, instead of first and then Hightower. Okay. We can move on to Bus. Okay, so we're talking about defenses in this episode. But before we get on to defenses we like, we're gonna talk on a defense that we realize it's like you know, we do all these podcasts and we think we're letting the people know, but then we go and do our draft last night, and what happens? We got someone drafting the Patriots defense in the 7th round of the draft. And here's
why is everyone so fucking stupid?
Sorry.
But truly though, why is everyone so fucking stupid? Did we roast the guy? Yes, he got absolutely roasted for it. We told him there's a lot of players on on Patriots defense. If you don't know, if you're listening to this right now, the Patriots defense is missing a lot of players. Yes, they finished defense 1 last year, but it's not going to be the same defense. This is not, you know. You read a report about, it's Bill Belichick's defense. Don't worry, they're always going to be good. Da, 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 da. It's like, it doesn't matter. We talked about it. It doesn't matter when you're on your second string, and then say your second string guy gets hurt, and then now you're on your third string / poor practice squad cornerback. Listen, they're going to get absolutely demolished out there. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, we were roasting him. He took the Patriots in the 7th round. He said, "Wait, this is the year," and we're like, "Wait, this is the year."
That was last year.
Yeah. This is the year that they're not going to be the number 1 defense. But yeah, so the Patriots, they lose a ton of players due to opting out for COVID and free agency. They lose their starting defensive tackle, Danny Shelton, former first-round draft pick. They lose Jamie Collins as well. They lose Kyle Van Noy to the Dolphins. Then you have Dante Hightower, if I'm pronouncing his first name right. He opts out, and they lose their starting safety, Patrick Chung, who's just a savvy veteran. He's been with the Patriots for a ton of years as well. So you're already looking at 5 to 6 potential guys. And I actually forgot they picked up Michael Bennett halfway through the year last year as well. He's no longer on the team either. So, I mean, you're looking at 6 potential starters from last year that are no longer there. And another reason why the Patriots, I think, did so good is because through the first 8 weeks last year, they didn't play a team that was above 500.
They played absolutely no one. They
played like the
Dolphins,
worst teams.
Bengals, Jets,
Jaguars.
It was insane.
The Browns, they were playing like the worst teams through the first 8 games of the season. So of course they were dominating, and they were just scoring touchdowns at like an unprecedented rate. It was just insane.
Look, the Patriots defense are not going to get you 30 points per game again. Okay, we'll tell you who might. But not that team.
Yeah. So I just think that, you know, obviously people are going to be like, oh, the Patriots, they did so good. Let's go get them so high. Like I said, someone drafted them in the 7th round. I would be fading the Patriots defense. Could they still be good? A good defense? I'm not going to doubt the mad scientist, Bill Belichick over there. But when you're losing 6 starters potentially,
count me out.
And like I said, now with the COVID issue, now if, like Mike said, if one of those guys get hurt, the second string guy gets injured or he gets COVID, now you're on the third string guys. So it's just, I don't think the Patriots defense is going to be that good. And then I was reading an article a while back. It was just talking about how defenses, they don't repeat as the number 1 defense. A lot of times they won't even repeat as a top 5 defense the following year after repeating or after finishing as the number 1 overall defense. So just looking at some stats back from 2014, you had the Eagles who finished as the number 1 overall defense in 2014. The next year, number 12 defense. 2015, Cardinals, number 1 defense. Next year, number 4. Like I said, sometimes they'll finish in the top 5, but they won't finish number 1 again. 2016, the Chiefs were the number 1 defense. The very next year in 2017, the 12th best defense. 2017, you had the Jacksonville Jaguars, that crazy good defense. The Jaguars were that year. People were drafting them super high the next year in 2018. Where did they finish in 2018? Number 12 overall defense, so not very good. Then you get the Chicago Bears in 2018 after they get Khalil Mack, finishes the number 1 overall defense. Another defense a lot of teams were going out there and drafting high because they thought, here's the Bears defense again. Where did they finish last year? Defense number 17, the Bears, after finishing number 1 the year prior. So the point I'm getting is Patriots finished as the number 1 overall defense last year. Are they going to finish as the number 1 overall defense again? No, they're not. And I'm just going off what the numbers saying. I always say it all the time. Men lie, women lie. These numbers don't lie.
They do not lie.
And just, going off those numbers, them losing a ton of players, it's hard for that defense to even be at a top 5 defense again. So I would be avoiding the Patriots, especially for the high draft capital that you're gonna have to spend to get them.
Dude.
Because like you said, someone's gonna reach for them that high. It's like cool, let someone reach for them because now a running back, a receiver, a tight end, a quarterback you want or something like that, they've just fallen one spot closer to you.
You weren't there because you got there a little bit late. You were phoning in your picks, but do you know what? It was funny is like 2 picks before he went. Someone said, man, I feel like defenses went way earlier last year. And then all of a sudden it was his turn and he was like, Patriots defense. So get into people's heads, man. It truly works. Like if you know someone's a kind of a dope and they'll pick up defenses like super early or kickers, you throw in a mention like that, they might fall for it. You never know.
Yeah.
But I was going to say the problem with when you take a defense that high, you feel obligated to play them week after week after week, and you don't want to drop them. And then now you got somebody on your roster that you just don't want on your team, or you just feel obligated to play, and now you don't want to drop them off your team. Yeah. So don't draft defenses early. Yeah, that's the thing to this message. But so that being said, we can get into defenses that we like.
Yeah, here's some of the defense that we do like.
Target these defenses
in these later rounds.
So we'll start off. We got the Los Angeles Chargers defense. They just signed Joey Bosa's contract. They just signed Melvin Ingram. Who else? They're nice.
Yeah, they're nice. Yeah, so they get Bosa, becomes the highest paid defensive player. Ingram, another good pass rusher. They draft the Oklahoma linebacker Kenneth Murray to play middle linebacker. Really good middle linebacker. And then the Chiefs have the best secondary. The Chargers have the best secondary. They needed to get the best secondary because they have to play the Chiefs twice every year. But yeah, so they already have Casey Hayward, who is always graded as one of the highest corners in Pro Football Focus. But they actually have 3 top 5 corners graded in the top 5 on Pro Football Focus for corners. So they have Casey Hayward, I just touched on. They go out and they get Chris Harris from the Broncos, and they have Desmond King II. 3 top 5 graded corners from Pro Football Focus. And they also had all-pro safety Derwin James, but then he just got hurt recently. He's going to be out the whole year. That's kind of a big blow for them. Derwin James out of Florida State. He was a all-pro safety his rookie year. Gets banged up halfway through his sophomore season. And then in training camp, he did something to his knee. He's going to need a season-ending knee surgery. So that's kind of a tough blow for them there. But when you have these versatile pass rushers like a Joey Bosa, like a Melvin Ingram, like a Kenneth Murray, these guys that can cause pressure on the quarterback, they're prone to make bad throws. They're prone to make mistakes. And when you have 3 of the top 5 corners out there, I'm just thinking you're going to get a lot more interceptions, a lot more opportunities for pick sixes and stuff like that. So, yeah, I do like the Chargers. I'm surprised that they're not getting a little more hype, especially with being on Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
You think that they would be kind of
I feel like not that many. I don't think very many people are watching Hard Knocks. I keep asking people, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But, okay, then we can you want anything else on that?
No. I think they're just good defense to target late.
Yeah, they play Bengals week 1. So, there you go. Sign me up. We got the Indianapolis Colts. This is a defense that is really getting slept on. We didn't even get drafted in our league last night.
Yeah, so I was looking at I think it was the Fantasy Pros rankings, and I want to say the Colts were the 16th overall ranked defense. And honestly, this is one of my favorite defenses because it's not a sexy name. It's like you don't think of the Colts as being this stout defense. So they're all, you could get them with your last pick in the draft in the 16th round or 15th round, whatever it may be. But I mean, some good players here. They have his name's escaping me right now. Houston. He was the former Chiefs. Justin Houston. There you go. Justin Houston, former Chiefs D end. He's a big boy. Big boy.
Seen
him at Marquee actually. The guy just looks just massive.
Insane.
Big guy. But yeah, they get him. They go out and they trade for the D lineman from the Niners. I always get them confused, Buckner, DeForest Buckner or Armstead. I can't remember which one it is. But they go out and get one of those guys. They traded a first-round pick for him. So their defensive ends are going to be nice. You have, two solid pass rushers right there. They have Darius Leonard, who's a two-time All-Pro middle linebacker, and he's only been in the league for 2 years. They go out and they get Xavier Rhodes. And I know there was a saying back in the day, the roads are closed that 1 year in Minnesota, but then they've kind of joked around and said the roads are back open because he wasn't as locked down as he was that one season. But I still think Xavier Rhodes is a serviceable corner. He's still a good corner, better than what they had. Obviously, that's why they went out and get him. And then they have Malik Hooker. I'm not sure if that's him right there. Actually, on the highlight, he goes out there and he gets a little one-handed interception in the end zone. But Malik Hooker is one of the best safeties, in my opinion, in the NFL. Free safeties. He just been battling some injuries here and there. But yeah, so I think there's a ton of talented players on this Colts defense that you could be able to play and have them as your defense. And like you said, you're not wasting a top pick like some of these guys trying to get the Patriots defense. I mean, obviously, like you'll have these defenses like the Niners, the Ravens, the Bills. Those are good defenses, obviously. But if you want to wait on defense, I think the Colts is one of the perfect defenses to sit back on and grab.
Yeah, as someone I'm all constantly streaming defenses, and man, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't grab a defense in the that early. I mean, seventh is
they
early,
get the Jaguars week 1, so
yeah, Jaguars week 1.
It's not a bad matchup to start out right at the gate.
Yeah, sounds great. We can move on to the next defense. Oh yes, see that black and yellow makes me excited. They led the league in sacks last year.
Like
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So I think when you're thinking about these like good defenses, like I said, you got the Niners, you got the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills. I would throw the Steelers in there, and I've only done 2 drafts, and I've gone out and I've gotten the Steelers in both my drafts because
they are number 1.
3 All-Pros on there. Mike, I'll just let you take over because I know this is your team right here. You got some.
No, I mean,
juicy stuff over
there's
there.
only one guy that I kind of don't like is Terrell Edmonds. Yeah. But we were just talking about off air is that now that they have Minkah Fitzpatrick, he can kind of move. Before he was playing free safety, he's not really a good cover safety, so it works out. Actually, speaking of Minkah Fitzpatrick right there. But yeah, so that's the only person I don't like on this team. You got Bud Dupree, Devin Bush we drafted last year from Michigan, amazing. Minkah Fitzpatrick got in a steal in the trade last year against the Dolphins. Joe Hayden. I mean, dude, the list goes on and on.
Steven Tuitt. You got Cameron Hayward.
And you got T.J. Watt.
They had 3 All-Pro, first-team All-Pro defenders on their.
J.J. Watt's more athletic, brother.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite defenses. Like if you're gonna reach for a defense, this would be the defense, me personally, that I would reach for because, and I even told you, it's almost like I don't know if you've noticed this. Maybe I just paid a little attention to him because once they got Minkah, I was like, okay, like I want to see what he does since I'm a Dolphins fan. Minkah being traded from the Dolphins, but it just seemed like once they got Minkah Fitzpatrick, like this defense just went to a whole nother level of like a whole nother level. Like, I don't know what it is. Like I said, maybe they moved Terrell Edmonds to like his good, his better spot at the strong safety instead of playing free safety. But to me, it felt like they really went to another level.
Here's the thing: is like the Steelers. What's it called? Oh, the Steelers. That was our entire team last year. I told you over the phone. I didn't look it up, but I bet you if you looked up the numbers, which I probably should have before this, but if you looked up the amount of minutes the Steelers defense played last year, it's probably insane because our offense was terrible. They were constantly on the field, and they held us to an 8-8 record because our offense didn't do it. I think our defense probably had just as many touchdowns as our offense. Not really, but But yeah, man. Like so, this defense is legit, and you can get. Where'd you get him? 11th round.
Yeah, so I got him in the 11th round. Maybe a little high to go for a defense, but I was drafting over the phone through you, and it was kind of hard to see who was available at that time. In terms.
But you could get him.
I had already drafted Lamar Jackson, so I didn't need a quarterback. That's normally when I'm drafting a quarterback in like the 11th round. To be honest with you, because I normally never go quarterback high. But at that time, I just felt like, okay, here's a defense where I think this could be the number 1 overall defense, not the Patriots.
Yeah,
so I was like, all right, you know what? I'm okay taking a shot here in the 11th round on grabbing my personal number 1 overall defense.
Yeah. Did I? Yeah. I mean, I love it, dude.
Love the Steelers defense, man. I know you see the flag behind me right here. That's all Mike. Mike's the Steelers fan. I'm the Dolphin fan. You can maybe see the Marina behind me. We got the Dolphin table here. But I love the Steelers defense this year. And I actually think the Steelers are a dark horse to win the Super Bowl. Because when you have a defense like that, you know, how many points are they really going to be giving up on a week-to-week basis? And you get a healthy Big Ben, some healthy Juju, healthy James Conner, you know, Deontay Johnson's second year, Ebron, Claypool, McFarland. Just a lot of pieces on this offense. Yeah. I don't know what it is, Mike. I tell you all the time. I think I get more excited about the Steelers than you do.
No,
and I'm not even a Steelers fan.
No, but yeah, I mean, it's probably because you're around me too. It's like we talk about it a little bit extra, you know. Yeah. So like it makes you almost like more interested in the team. Maybe I don't know, but I'm fine. I'm super excited. Did I put way too much money on the Steelers to win the Super Bowl? Yes.
Nope.
No, if Dad, I didn't. Okay.
There was no fucking flub.
We can move on to the next one, even though I could talk about the Steelers for a long time. We'll move on to the Minnesota Vikings. Go grab the Minnesota Vikings defense. Yeah. So you know a couple players they signed.
Yeah. So the reason I threw Vikings here, maybe you could throw them in the category of the Ravens and the Bills and stuff like that. But the reason I'm throwing the Vikings here is because we just did a draft last night, and they went undrafted. But I'm seeing some of these other defenses being drafted. I'm just like, why? It doesn't make any sense why the Vikings aren't being drafted. I mean, they got Danielle Hunter, Pro Bowl defensive end. They go out and they traded, I think it was yesterday, for the Pro Bowl defensive end Yannick Ngakoue. Like I said, I'm always butchering that name. But they go out and they trade for him. So now they have 2 Pro Bowl defensive ends. Good linebackers, Anthony Barr, Hendricks as well. I can't remember which one, but one of those guys was the first-team All-Pro linebacker. And then they have 2 stud safeties, Walt Harris, I think his name is, and then Harrison Smith, who's just been a phenomenal safety ever since he came into the league out of Notre Dame. Corners might be where they're weak at, but I still think this is a really good defense overall. And like I said, I'm just bringing it up because they went undrafted in our league, but I don't think they're going to be undrafted or stay on the waiver wire for very long. Obviously, they'll probably come out, have a good game. There's obviously going to be a defense, one of these guys drafted that puts up a dud, and they'll see, the Vikings are there, and they're going to go grab them.
All right. We'll move on to the next. This is the last one, and this is my defensive. This is my defensive stream of the week, baby. Okay, so it's not very hard to look at these defensive streams of the week, but I will say this one was very easy for me. I'm running. If you go to the last round of your draft and you're like, fuck, I don't have a defense, this team will be here. Okay, they're ranked at I think 13th on Fantasy Pros defense, but the Eagles play the Washington Football Team Week 1. Sign me up. Look, who's their quarterback? It's either Dwayne Haskins, who can't throw the ball, or Alex Smith, who has a robot leg. I mean, either one, I'm down to have.
Bet the under in that game.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah. It is a divisional game, so that does mess with me a little bit. But I think they're going to shut them out? No. But I do think that you're going to get some picks. There's going to be some picks. There's going to be some sacks. There's going to be possible fumbles. I mean, the Washington Football Team's all over the place. They losing Darius Geis, who's, you got Adrian Peterson, who's a little bit older. You don't know what's going to happen. If they start running Antonio Gibson, dude, he's a rookie, man. A guy could definitely fumble the ball very easily. Yeah. So, yeah, man.
You got they go out and get Darius Slay, big play Slay. So, he's obviously going to be on McLaurin. I mean, you put a good corner like that on McLaurin. I'm not going to doubt McLaurin in his ability to get open, but you throw one of the top tier corners on him all game, and then with a struggling quarterback like Haskins, who else can this offense really move through the air in terms of who's going to be a pass catcher that really steps up if McLaurin gets kind of locked down a little bit by Darius Slay.
Yeah, so hammer the Eagles defense. If you like I said, like it. If you don't see any of these other ones that we mentioned, and you're that last round, dude, this will be available. And look, I drafted them last night, and I'm gonna drop them probably the week after. I forgot who they play week 2, but it's not as sexy as against the Washington Football Team. So they play the Rams week 2. So yeah, it's not gonna be all season, but if you just need someone to throw in there, or if you just forgot to draft the defense, they're probably there. Yeah. So you can go.
Well, you grabbed them with your last pick.
Yeah.
Of the draft, because you're just that's gonna be your starting defense week.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing. So that's for the defensive stream of the week. Right there, baby.
I like it.
And that's all we got. You know what I'm saying, baby? And that's all she wrote.
And I've been holding in this pee way too long.
The testosterone high today.
Testosterone is high today.
Hey, do us a favor. Subscribe if you're watching, if you're listening.
If this helped you out at all, subscribe on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're not, dude, we're full video format, man. Like I throw in highlights, I throw in all these different things to help you better visualize who we're talking about, when we're talking about. We got templates and all that. It looks really great. So, go check it out if you haven't already, if you're listening to audio. But if you're listening to audio and you haven't, why don't you go click the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast page and then go scroll all the way down. There's going to be like a little review and rating section. Give us 5 stars, man. Leave us a review. It really, really, really helps us out. So we appreciate if you could do that as well. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. If you want to DM us and you need like a rankings cheat sheet or anything like that for your draft, go ahead and hit us up and we got your back. But yeah, man, we appreciate you guys. Good luck to anyone in their drafts. If anybody wants to just tweet at us their draft, and we'll give you a little rating. We'll tell you how we think how you did in your draft, and I guess we can rank it. We'll rank it A through D. Okay. So go ahead and send us that, man. We'll just tag us AVG Fantasy Football on all that stuff. All those links to all these different things I'm talking about here are in the description down below. Like I said, go ahead, take advantage of all the resources we have. Dude, we have so many videos out right now, by the way. And so like I went through on our YouTube and I clipped so much stuff on our YouTube from different podcasts. So we literally broke down every division. I have it time stamped throughout, so you can just skip through and play whatever team you want to hear covered. You could just go through all that. Like if you need to do your fantasy research right now, we have plenty of content for you on our YouTube, so go check it out, man. But like I said, I appreciate you guys, and us big boys from AVG Fantasy Football are out.